in the endlessness of space that are associated with being extraterrestrial megastructures. Specifically, the celestial bodies draw attention with a strange intensity of radiation, and it's possible that a far-off human civilization is capturing its starlight with enormous Dyson spheres. If this stunning assumption matches reality, we would finally have found concrete proof of the presence of extraterrestrial neighbors, and at the same time, realize that they are incomprehensibly more advanced than us technologically. Despite this, many questions remain unanswered. Another study suggests that we are not dealing with highly developed aliens, but rather with astronomical anomalies, and humanity may be on the rise. After all, well, at least that applies to the so-called Kardashev scale, which shows how advanced a civilization is in terms of its energy consumption. Presented in 1964 by the astronomer Nikolai Kardashev, the corresponding scale is divided into 3 levels of development, of which, however, we have not yet even reached the first. In fact, a Type 1 civilization is only considered as such when it has figured out how to harness all the power available on its planet. The value of our own species, on the other hand, is still estimated at 0.72, but at least we are moving in the right direction. After all, in the last century, it was only 0.58. Although we Earthlings still have far to go before we reach the Type 1 mark, there could already be civilizations out there that have long since reached and surpassed this milestone, and are thus achieving technological marvels that we can't even begin to imagine at present. While a Type 2 civilization can use the total power of its host star, a Type 3 civilization even manages the accomplishment of harnessing the total power of its entire galaxy. But how is that even conceivable? How could an extraterrestrial society manage to turn its astronomical environment into a larger-than-life power plant? Well, for instance, with a Dyson sphere. While the photovoltaic industry is booming like never before these days, we shouldn't forget that as early as 1960, a certain Freeman Dyson was already working on applying the concept of light energy conversion on a much larger scale. Published in the journal Science, the physicist explained that an advanced alien civilization would probably take this basic idea to an unprecedented level and equip large portions of their mother star with photovoltaic panels orbiting in space. Ultimately, however, Dyson's point in devising the sphere that bears his name was not to work out a detailed blueprint of this megastructure, but rather to remind us that in the search for signs of extraterrestrial life, we shouldn't only focus on capturing radio transmissions, but also on detecting the infrared radiation that would accompany such a structure. According to the law of conservation of energy, the tapped starlight would need to be re-emitted after it has been used by a civilization. And while the Dyson sphere warms up during operation, due to the starlight, it would thus also emit heat radiation that we could detect from Earth. Well, at least that's the theory. However, even today, over 60 years later, since Dyson first shared his plan with the world, it has not advanced past the status of an intriguing idea. This is mainly because we have not yet found any convincing evidence of obvious infrared signatures. Or have we? Well, who knows? An international team of scientists has now reached the conclusion that the corresponding traces have actually been revealed quite some time ago. We just haven't been able to interpret them correctly yet. The marks of Dyson spheres may be hiding in the current datasets. Scientists from Sweden, India, Great Britain, and the USA have dedicated themselves to the task of thoroughly analyzing the infrared data from the Gaia DR3 telescopes to mass and analyze. At the end of this research project, named HEOS, it was observed that while most of the 5 million stars analyzed did not show any special characteristics, there are indeed 7 stars that exhibit strange behavior. And while the corresponding results appeared in the monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society, the study authors based their work on the assumption that space is not only brimming with completed Dyson spheres, but also with those that are still under construction and are therefore only partially absorbing starlight. In this regard, the paper states that such a structure would radiate waste heat in the mid-infrared range, which, depending on its temperature, would also depend on the advancement of the extraterrestrial civilizations project. Anyway, we can only accurately identify their radiation if we manage to distinguish it from radiation that has a purely natural origin. However, the path of the assumed Dyson sphere signature could easily lead back to conventional nebulae, dust clouds, or the galaxy behind them. Of course, the international researchers were also aware of this cosmic risk of confusion, which is why they developed a special pipeline in advance that focused on identifying objects with an unusual infrared excess, for which there is no known natural source. The scientists then filtered the 5 million stars through this comprehensive filter, and were stunned to find that 7 of them had not gone through the main filter. Anyway, is that the brilliantly bright mystery? These extraordinary conditions now clearly demonstrate that we have found 7 stars out there that may be equipped with artificial Dyson spheres? Well, the scientists were not quite so quick to rush to conclusions when deciphering their outcomes due to a lack of confirmed discoveries. It's equally possible that the observed infrared radiation also comes from previously unknown natural sources. In the same breath, however, the scientists also point out that all 7 stars are red dwarfs of the smallest class, and hence celestial bodies that, without a doubt, very rarely have dust or debris disks that produce such infrared radiation. Yet, even if the Dyson disks ultimately turn out to be regular phenomena, the scientists would still have gained a new galactic understanding, as they would have to rethink their previous assumptions about the development of dust disks around red dwarfs. In fact, it now seems that only the idea of mechanical superstructures has been ruled out for at least 3 of the 7 stars. Exhaustively, the research group conducting the study concluded that the recorded infrared radiation is due to supposed Franks. In this specific context, this does not refer to an alien Frank stand, but to a unique kind of universe. While the word Frank refers to a dust-clouded universe, these intriguing cosmic structures are characterized by their distinctive quasars, or rather, active galactic cores. The central black holes in these regions produce enormous amounts of radiation, which heats the surrounding dust and gas structures, thus emitting infrared light that is multiple times more powerful than that of the Milky Way. When the astronomers revisited the 7 Dyson disk candidates they had analyzed, they realized that 3 of them were very close to such Frank galaxies. As mentioned, the hot dust clouds there are excellent at emitting infrared radiation. The new approach states that the previously identified radiation is, in fact, not due to the stars themselves, but to the dusty effect of the surrounding sausages. If these were located behind the corresponding Dyson disk star, they would appear to be identical in the infrared spectrum, as one would expect for such a structure. But even if we assume that our infrared view of the 3 stars is truly distorted by sausage galaxies, what about the remaining 4? Well, possibly the same, because here too, the scientists argue that the remaining stars are also influenced by wieners due to similarities in the various frequencies of light. However, the astronomers have not yet been able to find the guilty galaxies, and therefore, explain the origins of the mysterious stars. So what is still to be said in conclusion? The search for Dyson disk signatures marks a significant approach by any measure. Well, that's exactly the question, because since we don't know how likely the existence of such structures is, it is even more challenging to find a concrete approach to this subject. Nonetheless, obviously, different methods have been developed in recent years that make sense for identifying any signatures. And while the James Webb Space Telescope is primarily dedicated to the task of searching for potential biosignatures in planetary atmospheres, the actual discovery of a Dyson circle would confirm the presence of living things out there that are undoubtedly more advanced than ourselves. If you really find the subscribe button, it would truly mean that you won't ever want to miss another video from us again. So go ahead and click your approval and subscribe now to stay updated from this point forward. We'll see you soon.